Morning, everyone. Welcome. I'm Joseph WAMACK, pastor here at the Savannah First Seventh Adventist Church. This is June 9, I think, Tuesday. I'm in my office now. You can see the lovely decorations behind me and some books. I'm not out in the sanctuary because there is a gentleman out there pounding and sawing and drilling, doing man's work, which is why I'm in here and he's out there. So if you hear any sawing or drilling or anything, that's why. As I've mentioned to you before, we are replacing the carpet, we are fixing the stairs, we're fixing the ceiling. We have widened the media pod where the AV team and the live stream team sits. Just so you know, every Saturday morning, every Sabbath, you can see us on Facebook Live on our Facebook page, Savannah First SDA, or you can go to the YouTube channel that we have with that same name, Savannah First SDA. You can see our services live. Right now they're going from about 11 to 12. They should also be saved there where you can see them later if it's more convenient. What I'm doing now is also something we are doing every week. It's just like about a 5 to 10 minute video. Generally it's the sermon put into a more concise manner, just another way to reach people and to let people know that that we care and that we are there for them. So glad to see you today. Been doing a series called Advice from Dr. Luke, just started it last week, and I talked about this story in Luke chapter 4 where Jesus was in the temple and a man who was demon possessed came in and said, "We know who you are, you're the Holy One of God." And Jesus told the demon who had possessed this man to be quiet. The demon came out of the man with a loud shriek. The man was raised up, healed, and that seemed to be the end of it. And I talked about the power of love versus the love of power. Well, there's an interesting part 2 to that story. So you can imagine that Jesus is in the synagogue. There's people around him. There are people watching, and it says everyone was amazed because this man spoke with power and authority. So he's in the synagogue. He's in the worship building, and people are watching him. And that's where the love of power can come into play, where you notice people see you, you notice people are watching, you notice people looking at you, and you think, hey, they think I'm pretty good. And all at once there's this ego. You know, we all have an ego, and it sort of pushes up the ego, and you might think, I am something. People really like me. I'm pretty good. As opposed to saying God is using me to do great things. He has given me opportunity to be used in His name to help other people. You might think, this is pretty good. So he does something really big in this big church setting, and people are amazed because he spoke with power and authority. But then there's an interesting part that happens this week, and this is what the sermon will be about this week. I imagine at the end of synagogue, people said, "Oh, you're wonderful." They shook his hand at the door. "Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Do you have plans for lunch?" "Yes, I do have plans for lunch. Thank you." So then he's going to go home from synagogue. So I'm imagining it's Sabbath around noon. He's probably hungry, probably would like to take a rest. He'd probably like to sit down. And he's invited by one of his disciples, by one of his close followers, Peter, sometimes called Simon Peter, sometimes called Simon, sometimes called Cephas, which is the Greek word that means rock, which is what Peter means also. Petra, rock. That's Peter's name. So Peter says, "Why don't you come to my house, hang out, lunch, we'll sit down, we'll talk." So here's Jesus leaving this big church synagogue setting where he's done something where everybody was amazed, and now he goes just to one single person's home. And when he gets there, he finds that Peter's mother-in-law is sick with a high fever, it says in Luke chapter 4. So from that we know that Peter is married, and we also know that Peter's wife's mother is still alive and either visiting or lives with them because she's in their house and she's sick. It says she has a high fever. So now Jesus, who had just seen this big production as everyone looked to him and said, "Wow, isn't he amazing? He heals in the synagogue. He casts out demons." Now he is in a home where he might just want to sit. He might just want to eat. He might just want to put his feet up. He might just want to take a nap. He might just want to rest. He might just want to be quiet. He might just want to recharge. But when he gets there, he finds that there is a person, and not just any person, but he finds someone that's very special to Peter. And Peter's wife, Peter's mother-in-law, is sick with a fever. And it says he rebukes the fever, and the fever comes out of her. So there's probably a lot of things that could be said about that, but what strikes me today is that it's important for us to be aware that we all probably like to be seen doing things in the big setting. People like to hear people say nice things about them. People probably wouldn't mind having their name in headlines in the paper if it's something good, or be on the news if it's something good. That people like the attention of doing something good. People donate money. So-and-so gave $1 million, whatever it is. People don't mind the public praise, but then when you get in a home and it's just a few people, then you see the true character of an individual. So Jesus could have said, you know what, I got no time for this lady. She can wait till after I get some lunch. Just take 2 aspirin and call me in the morning. But he doesn't. He rebukes the fever, which is the same word he used when it said he rebuked the wind and the waves in another story, and the waters were still. He rebukes, which means leave, get out. He rebuked the fever, and the woman was made well. And in the way she showed her gratitude, it says she got up and she served them a meal. Not because she had to, but because she wanted to. So it made me think about how character is shown not only in the big moments, but character is shown in the small moments, the little moments that no one sees except you and maybe someone else, or maybe you and no one else except God. Maybe there's things you do. You walk outside and there's trash in the street, so you go out and you pick it up. No one sees that, but you're making your world, your neighborhood, your street a better place. You see a child and you smile and wave. Hey, good job riding your bike, whatever it is. You see another student. How's it going today? You say nice things to a person. You speak kindly. You do good deeds to even one individual. You see the true test of a character when you help someone who can have no advantage for you, who can't help you do anything good for yourself except you were just doing good for them because it's the right thing to do. We often say, well, I can't change the world, so why should I do anything at all? That's exactly why you do anything at all. You change the world one small thing at a time. You make one person's world a better world for them. You speak kindly, you're patient, you do something for someone, you make their world better, in turn it makes your world better, and you have blessed God. You have done God's bidding by being kind to even the least of these. To the smallest person and the smallest individual in the smallest way, do good things. Don't let it be something that's only done to be seen. Do the right thing at the right time always, and the results will take care of themselves. In our world today, it's very overwhelming with there's still coronavirus going on, and now there's all of this protest and uprising in the streets, as rightly there should be. People are demanding justice for themselves, and you might be overwhelmed with that and say, there's nothing I can do, or I'm sick of this. There's many reactions to that. But the point is, do what you can, where you can, with what you can. Do good anytime you get a chance. Do good. Be the hands, be the feet of Jesus. And in that story, we see him in the temple, in the synagogue, healing. Then we see him in a home touching one woman and healing her. And then it says later that night, he went out and they brought all of these sick people to him, and he touched each one of them and made them well. Back to the public setting. And then the very next story, it says he went out and prayed alone. So you see, a person's life consists of private moments where you recharge, big moments where you might be seen by other people, and then solitary moments, one-to-one, where you're just doing what you can to make the world a better place. So don't always look for the great opportunities, look for the small opportunities, and it's in the small opportunities that great things happen. Change the world. Change the world one activity, one kind word, one action at a time. God bless you today. Do great things in Jesus' name. We'll talk to you later.